Are you curious about the differences between growing up in the Christmas capital of the world, Santa Claus, Indiana, and living in Evansville, Indiana? In this video, we're exploring the unique experiences of living in these two Indiana cities. From festive traditions to everyday life, we're diving into what makes each place special and what sets them apart. Whether you're a Hoosier native or just curious about Midwestern life, join us as we uncover the surprising similarities and differences between growing up in Santa Claus and living in Evansville. And so we got the real experts here because we were both born in this area of Santa Claus.
Yep.
So completely two different areas, completely two great areas, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And this is for you to figure out what are you looking for, which location may be the best for you, especially if you're relocating from out of the state, because they are so different in what they have to offer.
Yes.
And we're trying to guide you down where you may want to end up if you're coming to our state. So let's start. First of all, obviously, well, Santa Claus is where we were born and raised, but living in Evansville, so we can compare.
Yes.
Santa Claus is a very small town.
Very small.
Very
Yes.
small town.
Very small.
So we're going to start there. I mean, what are we talking? 2,000 people?
Yeah.
Evansville, what, 250, 300, something like that? I don't know exactly the numbers. Completely two different sizes, which brings a lot of different things, positive and negative, to this town,
Yes.
Santa Claus.
Yes.
Positive probably for Evansville, but there's some positive stuff. So we're going to kind of go through the pros and the cons of each, because there is both.
Yep.
And let you decide which one's your best area. So because of the small town, you're going to have limited amenities, right?
Yes.
And different amenities, I should say, because there are some great amenities in Santa Claus versus Evansville, but there's some lacking amenities that are in Evansville that you will not find in Santa Claus.
Correct.
So let's first off go with food.
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 So I would say.
It's not a hard one. Let's just talk food.
So when it comes to food, Evansville gets the nod. I don't know if Santa Claus has ever heard of DoorDash or.
They got Dasher delivery. He's been gone too long.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what they got
Never
over here anymore.
But
it is not the DoorDash though, and there's not as many restaurants.
no, absolutely not. But Evansville.
Maybe 6 that they can deliver. So.
Evansville almost has too many.
Yeah.
Which is.
So there's completely a whole variety. I mean, honestly, sad enough. I mean, we have some food. Don't get me wrong. A lot of pizza.
Yep.
A lot of pizza. In
Yep.
Santa Claus. A lot of chicken. But in general, your variety is not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say a not to Evansville on food. Another thing that some people have concerns about, hospitals.
Okay.
You know, you do have your local doctor that you can go in, and it's a general practitioner.
Yeah.
But you do not have a hospital here.
No, you don't. But I mean, you still have one within a 15-minute drive or 20-minute drive to Jasper.
Yeah, you can get to Jasper in 20 or 30 minutes. That'd be the closest.
Yeah.
But Evansville has so much more.
100%. It's when it comes to like the healthcare industry as a whole, Evansville is kind of blowing up.
Yeah, so you're definitely going to get a nod to them as well if that's important to you. So we're trying to show you, these are some of the cons, I would say, of Santa Claus.
Yep.
The food variety, shopping. You don't really have shopping here. You got one grocery store. You got one of each, I always call it. One dentist, one grocery store, one retail, one toy store.
2 gas stations.
2 gas stations.
2.
So there you go. That is the big difference. Your shopping, your food, your healthcare is going to be enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now let's talk about some of the pros
Of Santa Claus. Which, so one that I really like about Santa Claus is the family atmosphere of it. Obviously you have Holiday World, which is always, if you have kids.
You got tourism here.
Yeah. So during the summer, it's amazing here.
I would say it's the best place to be in the summer, no matter, hands down, anywhere in the area to live. I mean, there's just so much to do, from boating on Christmas Lake or even boating on the river, which is really easy.
Yeah.
Patoka's not that far away even to get to, if you all the boating in general. But you got Holiday World, which is like a swimming pool in your backyard, a playground. So then you got all the sports things, the softball. There's all kinds of things.
Oh.
There really is.
There
I
is,
mean, they got
100%.
a lot of sports things that your children can be active in. And then you got Lincoln, which is next door if you love to hike and run and trails. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So, there's nowhere that can beat, I would say, summer.
I would agree with that.
Even when I lived in North Carolina, everyone, I wanted to be here at 4th of July.
Oh.
This was the 4th of July event.
Yeah.
Didn't matter where I was, nobody was going to beat 4th of July in Santa Claus. So
Yeah.
there you go. I would say your amenities difference is really the outdoor and tourism attractions.
Yes.
That I'd say you do not have so much over there.
In Evansville, no.
I mean, you do. You have your outdoor, you have your hiking. It's just different.
Yeah, but Holiday World kind of provides such different twists that, I mean, what other place has a huge theme park in their backyard, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that just opens up so many different possibilities, and parks like Yellick Park, which is right behind Holiday World, benefit so much because it's such a fun community of people that go there and play volleyball or basketball. I mean, again, as a kid, it's something to do, it's family friendly, it's fun, and you get that sense of community, while, Evansville, you have that, but it's not the same. I mean,
yeah, well, I mean, honestly, you could be up there at Holiday World and the whole community, you're seeing friends all day long.
Yep.
So it is different. So the amenities from an outdoor perspective and hanging out and enjoying family life is, I would say, hands down wins here.
Yeah.
More so than Evansville. But again, they have more of the social of the shopping and the food from that perspective. So we did want to say that the amenities isn't all Evansville. It just depends on what you're looking for. One good thing about Santa Claus is it has Christmas Lake, which is a private gated community with 2,000 acres, 3 lakes. So there's a lot of outdoor activities that you can enjoy along with the tourism in the town with Holiday World and Lincoln Park. So community is probably a little bit more communal here. It's small, and that, of course you're going to see that. Everybody's going to know everybody. Like one whisper, and it's around the whole community within 5 minutes. You're not going to get that.
No.
So if you don't love that, everybody knowing everything, this may not be your place.
Yeah. So and Evansville's service is such a wider age range, right?
True.
Like you have a younger population with colleges and stuff like that,
True.
and then you have your families like that live in McCutcheonville and even outskirts of Evansville. So it's Evansville just services more age groups than Santa Claus does.
Yes, there is definitely a niche. You're maybe just people that are coming back home that got out of college or worked a few years away, and now they're here in their 25, 30, to 30 range, or they're starting families or retirees. We have a lot of that here. So, but I definitely say, there's a lot of communal areas within Evansville too. So I think it just depends. You got to niche down at that point to get the same feeling of Santa Claus as some areas in Evansville.
Yeah.
So schools, if you have kiddos and that matters to you, I would say the schools in Santa Claus are just as competitive as the schools in the Newburgh, Evansville area. They are smaller, so if you like smaller classroom sizes, that is a plus for this area. If you want maybe a little bit more variety in some of the school options, you might get a little bit more in the Evansville market, but I don't think much. I think in general they're pretty equal. They score high in the state, and these are the private schools. We're comparing public to public. Maybe some sports are bigger, and for example, football is going to be probably bigger here than maybe Newburgh.
100%.
And they might be bigger in tennis or soccer. I mean, it's just they both have their pluses in the sports that they excel in.
Yes, they do.
So you have to decide what sport you like, and maybe that's where you go, or even academics if there's a certain thing, or even theater or music. I'm sure there's differences as well. So, but I think they're very strong in general schools altogether. You're going to find great schools there, and you're going to find a great school here. Cost of living between the two. One thing you're going to find probably between, first of all, let's talk housing, because that's what we do. The average is probably going to be a lot higher as a whole in Santa Claus compared to Evansville. But there's pockets of like Newburgh and the North Evansville that are very comparable to Santa Claus. So, if you're looking at housing cost, Evansville is going to be lower if we're looking at it as a whole. But if you niche in on like maybe North Evansville or Newburgh, maybe some areas of the west side, then we will be very comparable to their averages. Probably sitting in that right now like $340 to $350 range for houses. And the cost of living outside of housing, you are going to spend more gas because you got to travel. I mean, in general, there's no jobs here. So if you're not working remote, you will have to travel for your job, and so there's gas involved, and so that might be a little bit more than if you were living in Evansville. You also, food, we don't have a lot of food options or, groceries to, we do have holiday foods.
Yeah.
But they're going to be a little bit more expensive because of just the supply and demand of sitting right here compared to the competition that Evansville has with all their grocery stores. So you are going to find a lower cost probably for your groceries if you're buying directly here versus there. So, it just depends on how you buy groceries. Food and everything else, I think it's, your gas station, gas, all
gas
that's going to be very similar. I think that's the biggest differences really you're going to see is your grocery shopping, if you're buying truly always local, and also maybe housing in pockets depending on where you're going. But and gas, because you are going to spend more gas, unless you never leave the town.
Well, and
you're going to drive in Evansville too. I just don't think you drive as much.
Yeah, and the cost of living isn't crazy.
No.
You just have more options in Evansville, right? So that kind of keeps things a little bit more balanced. While here in Santa Claus, while you don't have as many options, it's convenient. It's right. It's right here. It's the grocery store is literally a 5-minute drive. So it's not. I wouldn't even say 5 minutes for some people. So while cost of living is, it is different. It's not that far off.
Okay, so pros, cons. They all have pros and cons, honestly.
Yes.
I would say the biggest difference if you are looking to relocate to these different towns. Jobs is probably a factor.
Yes.
Because we didn't really touch on jobs, but there is not a whole lot of jobs here. You're going to be commuting. I would say jobs is a big deal. Amenity choices in regards to restaurants and shopping, if that's important to you, you want to be 5 minutes away, this is not your place.
Yep.
Evansville's your place. Healthcare, that's an option, or driving to healthcare is important to you, you want to be right by it, you're going to probably choose Evansville over that.
Yep.
This is a very family-friendly, the Santa Claus area, and Newburgh and Evansville is as well, but this is just very centrally focused around it.
And
there's so many activities of growing a family here, and even what I love is the retirees, they enjoy it as well. So there is a mix there, don't get me wrong, but I think that's that communal. The kids pull the community together at all age ranges here, which I think is fun. And that's even backing the high school events and everything.
Yeah.
Again, you're gonna get communal in Evansville. You're just gonna have to look for it probably in certain areas. It's not gonna be as a whole.
Yeah. And to me, that's the biggest pro is the family atmosphere here in Santa Claus. It's just, if you live here, it's most likely you have a family. Most likely your kids go to school together. I mean, it's a community. While it's big, but it's also small at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a massive pro. And Evansville has Newburgh, McCutcheonville, places like that also are very.
Actually, from a standpoint of living, McCutcheonville reminds me. I always think of Santa Claus is we're real living with neighbors because we are really in the middle of nowhere to some extent. And the north side was more evolved into that, where they're getting a little different and a little bit more populated, but it's a little bit more rural as well. But yeah, Santa Claus is rural with neighbors because you got this subdivision stuck in the middle of nowhere with the tourism.
I like that.
So it's just a little different.
Yeah.
It's a little slice of heaven, what some people would say.
Okay.
But yeah, he's like, okay, he lives in Evansville.
Okay, yeah, let's relax a little bit.
Okay, there you go. Well, we hope we helped you
make a decision.
Yeah. If you are coming to our area and want to know about both locations, we can both help you.
Yeah.
So until next time, reach out. See you then.
We open doors in realty. Key Associates.